Deep into the San Gabriel Valley, in the suburban neighborhood of Glendora, lies a folk art monument unlike any other. The work of local weirdo Michael Rubel, the 1.7-acre lot contains a small village made of junk and scraps. Some call it Rubelia, others call it Rubel Farms with a PH, Farms, but it is commonly referred... I have no idea. I think because it was in the 60s, 70s, and it was just like cool to misspell stuff.
Pharmaceutical?
Oh, maybe.
Big pharma?
Big pharma, yeah, that's what they were getting at. Some call it Rubel Farms, but it is commonly referred to as the Rubel Castle, which sits alongside in spirit to other folk art pieces like the Watts Towers or Salvation Mountain, which is more south.
What's Salvation Mountain? Is that Slab City? What's Slab City?
It might be Slab City. Salvation Mountain is some like...
or the Mosaic Tile House in Venice.
Right, and that's another one, yeah.
Slab City, I think Slab City is like a weird little republic unto itself in the middle of the desert where there are no laws and you can do whatever you want.
Salvation Army is that one with it's painted with a bunch of stuff. And
Salvation Mountain?
Yeah, Salvation Mountain.
Salvation Army? Or
Salvation Army.
Mountain?
What did I say?
Salvation Army.
But they live there. They protect it. Yeah.
They're like the dwarves that come out of Salvation Mountain. I think, isn't that near like the Salton Sea or something?
Yeah, it's really south. And it's...
yeah, I guess the Salton Sea must be south because people keep ending up in Mexico getting lost around there.
Yeah,
so
I could see that.
South.
Must be south, yeah. No, it's north. Let's talk about Michael Rubel. He was born in Glendora in 1940. His dad, Henry Scott Rubel, was a pastor of an Episcopal church, an orchardist, and a gag writer, but I couldn't find anything he wrote. His mother was a chorus girl. Glendora in the 50s was mostly citrus groves, but a small residential area was emerging as the citrus industry was dipping. The Rubel's home was connected to a 1,400-acre citrus ranch, which was owned by Albert Bourne, which was the president of the Singer Sewing Machine Company.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? The property known as Bourne...
There's weird thing, didn't the Kellogg's have something out that way?
Oh, I don't know. Probably.
Maybe, I don't know if it's the same Kellogg's, though, but how could there be more than one Kellogg's?
Why we would have done a Kellogg's episode already. We're running out of stuff.
We would have been eating cereal every episode if there was a Kellogg thing.
We would have been eating cereal and not masturbating.
Or
a better idea. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Why not combine the two?
So the property was known as Alborn Ranch.
Master Bows. Go on.
The property was known as Alborn Ranch, named after Albert Bourne, and was pretty vast. It included a reservoir for irrigating oranges and a packing house for citrus. This is where Michael basically grew up. This was like kind of neighboring to him. So he grew up playing on this lot of land. And he would trespassing. And he would tell Albert Bourne that when he grew up, he was going to buy the Dalton Reservoir and the packing house.
What a threat.
Yeah, I'm gonna own you.
I'm gonna put you out of home and means.
You're gonna live on the street.
And those people down the street who don't like masturbating? I'm gonna buy them out
I'm gonna buy them out.
I'm gonna masturbate everywhere. Because I'm 7. And I don't know what that means.
And I'm not quite sure what that means yet, but you know what? It's around the corner.
But I know it's what happens in business meetings.
Dump where stray objects and materials were plentiful. Both of these spaces would be crucial.
Where you leave your sea biscuits.
Or pieces of sea biscuits there. Both of these spaces, the Alborn Ranch and the municipal dump, would be crucial to the rest of Rubel's life. Alborn's Ranch in particular was a special place for Rubel, as the grounds were something, like I said, like a playground for him. When the Bournes subdivided their property, they donated 2.5 acres to the Glendora Episcopal Church, which of course included the reservoir and the citrus ranch buildings, and also, which of course, the church was Mr. Rubel was a pastor of. There was a special clause was created that would offer Michael Rubel the option to purchase the property when he turned 20.
That's weird. So the guy liked this plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody was okay with this.
All right.
So it seems like as a teen, before he bought the ranch.
You meaning he moved on to a better place? Alhambra?
Alhambra, yeah. As a teen, Rubel became a world traveler, wandering through Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, where he worked as a jackaroo, which is a cowboy.
That rides kangaroos around the outback?
Yeah, instead of, you don't ride horses, you ride kangaroos. You don't have spurs around your boots, it's spiders. Your rope tricks are just a big snake. Australia, like we all know.
You don't have a cowboy hat on, it's just a koala. we know Australia.
Australia, like all the Australia we all know and love.
You don't drink sarsaparilla, you drink de-alcoholed Fosters.
Both places are hot. I don't know why you're having a hard time understanding a jackaroo. Jackaroo and cowboy are basically the same thing.
The hole that you defecate into in the ground swirls in the other direction when there's a flash flood.
When there's a flash flood, yeah. So, like I said, he's a world traveler, sailed the high seas as well on a Spanish ship, first as a paint shipper, then as a purser, which is a
Isn't that like the money person?
The accountant, yeah, which is really funny, but that
and he had to carry a purse on the boat.
he had to carry a purse.
So they're both seamen.
Yeah, they're two stories of seamen.
Two seamen.
Yeah, two seamen out there.
We could have done a whole episode on seamen.
Who's our favorite
I
seaman?
think Kellogg's would not like this.
They are pulling in our endorsement. We're going to cut to a cornflakes commercial. And now we can't.
A completely unsweetened cornflake from the 1940s. We were going to cut to a commercial for that. Kids were going to love it.
It's weird that it's an anti-masturbatory cereal and the logo is a rooster. Right.
Would you prefer it was a sperm whale?
A couple rabbits would have been nice. So as a purser, he sailed the Mediterranean, the Suez Canal, the East Indies, and Japan. But now he's back home growing cucumbers and eggplants hydroponically. But he himself said that was a fiasco. That nothing went there. The captain he sailed with, who had taken him under his wing, had left him a substantial amount of money when he passed. And with the Alborn property to fall back on, at the age of 19, Michael Rubel bought the property that was being offered to him. He would spend the rest of his life serving the grounds, basically, and building upon everything that's already there. He would now focus on building his castle almost full time.
Oh, we're talking about H.H. Holmes again?
I hadn't even considered that.
He had one chamber where if you press this lever.
He can now focus on building his castle almost full time, except for 2 hours he worked each weekday during driving a school bus in the afternoon, delivering mountain children to their homes on a 110-mile run.
My God.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's weird.
Mountain children.
Glendora is really close to what's the Azusa Hills or whatever. I wonder if that's it doesn't matter.
The mountain children. Where the mountain children lie.
Yeah. It's weird. I thought I put in the notes that he, as a child, with the municipal dump really close, would build castles and structures, and he would like lead the neighborhood kids in building these like really tall, he'd call them forts. I'd build a fort, but you were seeing a fort in your head. This is like the Little Rascals clubhouse. Like he would build these like really intricate, well-crafted junk houses as a child. And this is what him and all the neighborhood kids would do.
That's weird.
I should have said that. So him as an adult with money and property, and his impulse is still, I want to build a castle out of it. So I'm going to build a castle out of it. The castle. Okay. So now we can talk about the property, the Rubel Castle. The castle is the main draw and the showstopper of Rubelia. The castle consists of Rubelia or Rubel Castle. I use castle too many times in one sentence.
Okay.
Rubelia, Rubel Farms, Rubel Castle.
Okay, so that's the name of his kingdom, is Rubelia.
Rubelia is one of the terms, yeah. The castle consists of 3 or 4 buildings alongside the castle walls, 4 circular towers, and an interior courtyard space. So it's like a medieval village.
Okay.
Do you want to look it up and take a peek at what this looks like? Because I feel like it's hard for you to understand that in Glendora there is a castle. Rubel, Rubel, castle.
Safe search off. Oh, whoa.
It's a castle. Everybody stop and search for Rubel Castle in case you're not getting what
Everybody
I'm talking
stop, grab a handful of cornflakes and look up Rubel Castle.
Zip up your pants, look up Rubel Castle. So the castle consists of 3 or 4 buildings along the castle walls.
It looks fuzzy.
It looks very rocky.
Yeah. Okay. This is weird.
The 4 circular...
It looks like it's not a miniature golf course.
When I saw it, I'm like, you could bowl there. You could play mini golf there. You could
H.H. Holmes could have had a lot of fun in this place.
H.H. Holmes got 50 different people that built different parts of this castle. So nobody knew really why he needed all this space in between the walls.
And then the mountain children start going missing, and no one thought to look into it.
And sure, they didn't really understand how insurance scams work, and neither did H.H. Holmes, but he did it anyways. Much of the castle used the reservoir as a foundation and superimposed the stones and stream rocks pulled from the San Gabriel Canyon into the structure itself. So it's like these rocks and stones are cemented into the walls, which gives it that look.
It's like the Lummis house where he just grabbed a bunch of rocks from the Arroyo Seco and was like, I live here now.
Yeah, and just wedged them together. And was like, yeah, well, this is my house. Deal with it. And it was like 1955 or whatever. Yeah. So construction began slowly, but officially in 1965, with the tower, the walls, and the buildings constructed over time, expanding beyond just a castle, but a whole, like I said, medieval village, which I believe measures out to like 22,000 square feet. The castle also has cool castle stuff like battlements, a drawbridge, a portcullis,
which is
a dragon.
The port
syphilis,
a caste system, serfs. It had everything.
Everything you could ever want. The gate itself is made of massive wood timbers, and the tunnel through the passageway is lined with glass bottles set in cement.
So it's like the Watts Towers now.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, I'm sure I get to it, but like set in the walls is not just stones. It's like bottles and motorcycle parts and pieces of metal and like railroad ties. It's just like junk stuff.
Like a hermit crab.
Yeah, like a hermit crab. Yeah, exactly. There's old television poles, discarded pipes, bed springs, coat hangers above everything else I already mentioned. There's like pieces of a motorcycle and bicycles sticking out. Through the
Like City Walk, pieces of City Walk.
There's King Kong sticking out of it. There's half a car. And there used to be a Tommy's here built into the wall, and it's gone now.
John Lovitz used to have a comedy club there, but not anymore.
Does he not have a comedy club in there?
I don't think the John Lovitz comedy club. I think it might be called something else. I don't know if it's comedy anymore, though, because comedy's dead.
Comedy, as soon as we stopped doing it, comedy dead. People were... Who's been laughing since we stopped? By 1972, the castle walls were 3 stories tall around the periphery. There are 4 square towers. The Pigeon Tower, which is 4 stories tall, once housed pigeons on the roof. The Fire Tower, which funny enough contains a water tank and pressuring pump. The Bee Tower, which once had a working beehive.
God.
And the Clock Tower, which obviously has a clock.
Wait, let me guess.
These days, the towers are rental spaces, living quarters, or workshops. But we'll get into a little bit later about who lives there. In the center of the castle complex is the machine shop, or the roundhouse, which I imagine is a circular tower. Again, fitting the castle and Rubel aesthetic, rocks and scraps set in the cement decorate the walls, and the ironworks themselves are made by, there's an on-site blacksmith he makes stuff like the gates and other metal pieces. I watched Hugh Hauser go there, and the video I watched was him, I want to say like in the 2010s around there, maybe earlier than that, looking back at when he went back to the 90s and met Michael Rubel, who everything I ever want to be, just like overalls, is like, I don't know how that happened. Hugh Hauser goes back there later and he's talking to the blacksmith. He's like, he learns the blacksmith's name. He's like, oh, are you related to the former blacksmith again? And that's his dad. And it feels like how Rubel Castle works. Is like
nepotism.
But like you like, it's a little community, an art community, basically a folk art community, and everybody who has something to do with it now probably knew somebody who helped build it originally,
right? Well,
which I think is really cool.
That's Glendora.
It's Glendora, baby.
It's Glendora, for everybody knows everybody in Glendora.
Only 9 people. So there's the Bottle House, which was technically the first constructed building in the reservoir and made to serve as a residence spot on the grounds. Rubel and the farm hands, PH Farms, built a small 8x10 place out of multicolored bottles set in cement. And when the light comes through the bottles, creates little lovely color designs inside. And there's a small wood burning stove and sitting area inside the Bottle House.
Yeah, with the picture I looked at, I thought it was a restaurant in the middle. Like it looked like a little patio.
Like an eatery?
Yeah, an eatery.
Yeah.
How do you say... A cafe,
maybe. I don't know. There's a small shack made of railroad ties. There's a shack made out of orange crates. There's a potter shop. Rubel himself lives in the old packing house known as the Tin Palace.
Wait a minute, he's still alive?
No. I phrased that weird. When he was alive, he was living in the Tin Palace, which is the old packing house. Itself made of old sheet metal. The Tin Palace is 158 feet long, 42 feet wide, and over 7,500 square feet of floor space because it's a packing house. The Tin Palace is well furnished, adorned with nice paintings. There's a grand piano. There's 2 elevators, one to the kitchen underground, the other to a wine cellar. And in the middle is a 1928 Chevy truck that he managed to get in there.
This is H.H. Holmes. You're just describing H.H. Holmes.
The car is just to get like gas inside of the house. This is like a makeshift gas chamber.
There's a pipe that goes from the exhaust to this box that we've never opened.
Just put your mouth on the pipe. The bed of the truck is an actual bed, by the way. Like someone sleeps in the bed of the truck. Yeah. The ladies' restroom is a modern...
This guy is like, the 10-year-old with the race car bed who never grew out of it.
I was thinking a little bit of that mixed with the scene in Big where he starts making money and he turns his loft into like
it's like a pinball machine.
And they're skateboarding or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, I'm a big guy with a little kid brain and big people money, and I just want to make a castle all day.
And this Zoltar machine.
And who's going to stop me? God? No.
God. Zoltar destroyed God. Zoltar is God.
I sold my soul to become big, and no God. I was not in God's light then.
I went to the crossroads and I heard, give me a quarter and I'll tell you your fortune.
I want to be old and get a job. Yeah, all right. Now? You can just wait. Like I was saying, the ladies' restroom is a modernized outhouse with carpeting on the walls and ceiling to make it more feminine. There's a tree house in the branches of a 400-year-old live oak tree, complete with a swimming pool, which just means there's a 12-foot deep, 10-foot in diameter oil tank.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
This place doesn't sound stable. Like, I'm surprised it is not collapsed or condemned. Okay.
Never collapsed.
Okay.
Never even shook a little bit during all the earthquakes. It is completely stable. And
Weird.
I don't know how. And I don't think anyone who built it knows how either.
Ask Zoltar.
Wish number 2.
Hail Zoltar.
Rubel has 2 giant natural gas engines that he used to pump water to irrigate with. He used a huge engine to turn into a barbecue pit. Another 14-ton engine is used as a bird bath. And also next to the Tin Palace is a 1909 windmill that operates the washing machine. A little bit Green Acres-y.
Yeah, this sounds like a society in The Walking Dead.
I was a little bit when I was looking at different angles of it. I'm like, this is what people in Mad Max do.
Yeah.
They build a structure out of trash and they're like, we're oil safe. Let me tell you, it's not.
I'm going to harness the power of wind to shuck all this corn for me, which is how we will survive.
And then the marauders beat you to death with your own leg.
Yeah. And then they turn your place into like a giant sex palace of disgusting proportion.
Yeah. And as cool and visionary and kooky and Venice Canals as this place is, look up pictures of the place. What's truly astounding is its creation, which ended in 1986, 21 years after Rubel started it. So it took 21 years to build it to the point where he's like, we're done. We got everything.
Hey, at least he knew what to call it, not like the Watts Towers.
I agree with that you can look at something and be like, I almost admire that.
It's done.
But like he said in an interview, like the castle was his fun hobby project. He worked hard at it, but it had no formal purpose, no deadlines, no bosses. It was a big wild dream by somebody who liked to build forts as a kid. The castle isn't necessarily fun. The building of the castle was fun.
Yeah, this is a little kid.
He's a little kid, yeah.
He's definitely Zoltard.
He's got like Spud and Rich energy too. Like growing up in San Gabriel Valley and sort of being like, I just wanted like to have fun, like fun things and not job. I want not job.
Yeah, I just want to buy a bunch of land and then somehow afford it all.
Yeah, and the kindness of everybody around here.
The taxes will be paid by kindness.
And he did, like I meant to say, he did not do this alone. Over 2 decades, thousands of friends and volunteers put time and effort into constructing the place. And they were known, like I said, they were known as farmhands, farm with a PH. And many of them lived, crashed, partied, relaxed here at Rubel Castle. It was their space to do whatever they wanted with because they helped build it. That was Michael Rubel's thing. The term rebellion gets tossed around in terms of the aesthetic and the bohemian lifestyle. And the lifestyle is like repurposing items others would deem as vintage junk, and he would breathe new life into junk, trash, the literal monument to trash treasure.
There was an epidemic that broke out there. It was called rubella.
Thank you.
No cure.
No cure.
No cure.
Endless bodies. Michael Rubel passed away in 2007, but before he died, he gifted the castle to the Glendora Historical Society. His nephew, Scott Rubel, is helping to preserve the lot as well. Some of the spaces are being used as living quarters, and it has residents, and the residents are either the caretakers who helped build it or people who knew or relatives of people who originally built the castle. It's not really like a place that's really open to the public. They offer tours, but like it almost feels like Crosspoints of the World or Crossroads of the World. Yeah, Crossroads of the World, where it's like a now contained space and you're,
a few businesses
that are lucky enough to get space there. Glendale Historical Society now kind of runs and operates it. 2013.
Glendale or Glendora?
Glendora.
I was thinking,
No, we got it too. Yeah.
Mind your boundaries, Glendale.
In October of 2013, the Rubel Castle Historical District was listed in the National Register of Historic Places, which is great. You could take a tour of Rubel Castle, but you have to message the Glendora Historical Society ahead of time because it really isn't open to the public. They have to figure that thing out. The tours are $20, and I imagine well worth it. And I heard from someone that it's a lot of walking, so look out for that. And that's Rubel Castle.
I don't do walking anymore.
I don't care about getting my steps in.
Yeah, I'm not about that.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't bother with that anymore.